Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Steve and Dan Show. We're glad that you made it around this time. I'm Steve, and this is, I got it wrong. This is Dan.
No surprise there, Steve.
Yeah, sorry, I do that pretty regularly. And this is Michel. Oh, no, this is Michel, our special guest today. Just to give you a little bit of background on me, for those who haven't seen the show before, I'm Steve, husband, father, entrepreneur. I've started and grown several businesses over the years and really enjoy doing that. I love the challenge of starting something from nothing and helping it grow and providing a good quality product or service out there in the market. I like the flexibility that it gives me. All the things that go with entrepreneurship I really enjoy, except that I always felt controlled by the business. I always felt like my clients kind of ruled my life. Like I never really got the freedom that I wanted. Ultimately, I got into the businesses because I wanted to spend more time with my family. And in effect, it actually took me away from my family more and really put me at financial risk with some of the businesses that I was in. Whole different story. Anyway, got frustrated with that. Went searching for something better. I knew there had to be something better where I could get leverage. And that's when I came across the SFM and decided to make that change. And just totally happy that I did. Great community. Anyway, Dan, do you want to give a little bit of your background?
Thank you very much, Steve. So come from a background in corporate software sales. Was working 70 hours per week, earning really good money, so income was there, but really feeling pretty unfulfilled with what I was doing. And the realization I had was that no income goal in the past had ever brought me long-term fulfillment or happiness, and material things weren't going to do that either. So I realized that I had to make a change because therefore no income goal in the future was ever going to do that for me. So I knew I was on the right path. And that was when I discovered SFM, really started getting involved in online business. So I'm outside San Diego at the moment, been in America for about 7 weeks now, traveling around. Going home in 3 days, which I'm kind of looking forward to because I'm going to get some work done, but also I'm going to really miss this place because it's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, joined by Michel today. Michel, if you'd like to give us a little bit of an overview of yourself, your story, what were you doing before you discovered SFM?
Sure, that'd be my pleasure. So my name is Michel. Like Dan and Steve said, I'm a Canadian, so I live in the north part of North America, and I'm a French speaker, as you can see, and that's why also my name is Michel. And I've been through my schooling and pretty much all my life up to my 19th birthday in French. I didn't speak a word in English until I decided to move in the Rockies by the age of 19, close to my 20s, and to pursue my business, my career as a helicopter pilot. I did become an helicopter tour guide over there, which was really challenging just for the language itself. And after that, went throughout the whole set of really looking for getting to grow that kind of lifestyle and career, but it didn't really work. It didn't really fit what I wanted to actually grow in life. I wanted more in life than just being an employee and really being sitting in the woods for months at a time. So, and I had also met my wife at that time. So I went on traveling for a while. And after that, after a few years, we decided to move back in the east part of Canada, where during the time I was in the West, to pay off my debts and things like that, I created a construction business as I was manually inclined with my background with my dad building houses when I was young. From that, I kind of followed the flow of life. I've been a welder, an industrial welder. I applied for as firefighter. Like I did all kind of job throughout the years, ski patrol to carpenter to taper as well in construction. So it was I had kind of a mixed experience. And when I decided to move back to Quebec to get closer to the family of my wife, I became a dad in the year that follows the time we moved. So I have now 2 little boys. I've always been an entrepreneur since I was in the 90s. So even with my business in Calgary when I was only 20, I had my own business there. I've never really been an employee to that state point, even though I was more self-employed. So I was still trading time for money for a long time in my life. And I would say about a year and a half ago, I was driving back and forth the business, like after like 2013, I would say, business. No, I would say just after 2010. So the business went pretty low in the region I live right now. So I was pretty much carpooling back and forth an hour and a half morning and night. And I know I couldn't stand it for a very long time. And I did it for 3 years. So that was even more than I could handle it. And by the time, by late 2000, well, actually in May 2016, I decided that I was going to look for a different option in my life. So I wanted more in life. And I have traveled also. So I knew, that feeling of traveling and being kind of free. And you're just going back to work and like, shit, I have to wait 6 months again to go back to an holiday or to do something with that meaningful and enjoyable, right? So I was like, oh, man, do I really need to wait 6 months again? And I was like, and I was owning my business as well, so I couldn't really leave. So even though I was like an entrepreneur, Steve, I was kind of stuck following the schedule of the clients and everything like that. So I tried actually a lot of businesses before ended up on the one of creating a real business, because I think at first I was really believing in that it was easy to make money online. So for some reason, like I'm sure there's a button we can push somewhere. And for people that are looking this and they maybe have looked for that button, I haven't find it. So if you find it, let me know. It would be really enjoyable to actually share it with everyone in the world. That would be awesome.
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
It does not exist. I've been around this for quite some time. It doesn't exist. It's a myth.
Yeah. So yeah, and after that point, for some reason I stumbled across ad like you guys with Stuart actually, and I was like, that UK guy, right? The accent. No, I'm kidding. And it was just I was not really connected. And at some point, it was a guy like it was Chris, and Chris was just sharing a message about how he was actually able to turn his life around, and also he was a trade guy, right? A tradesman's guy. So I was like, at that point, I was a carpenter and entrepreneur as well. So I'm like, yeah, maybe if a carpenter can do it, like it could be really interesting. And that's the point where I got, yeah, I think I can do that. So I started learning about all that kind of business, and really got me into something that I really didn't know it was going to happen. Like seriously, you don't know what you're getting in when you get involved with that kind of a business and lifestyle, right? You just, you say, I'm creating a new business. Like, I don't know for you, Steve, but like after creating few businesses, you feel like it's kind of you feel like the same at first, right? You say, okay, I'm going to put those that kind of pattern. And after that, I'm go forward with that. But that one was different, really different. And right now it's been a year, and it's just, I don't know, I'm not so attached I'm not actually looking for the result anymore. I don't know if you know what I mean. It was really about money, and it was really about getting my life to the next level. But now it's more enjoying the moment. Like my oldest, I started the first grade this year, and I'm there each and every morning to really look at him taking the bus, which is kind of nice. When you used to I used to live home by 4 o'clock in the morning, so I would never see them in the morning. And at night, I'm waiting for him at the bus stop to get him. So I'm like, hey, it's actually enjoyable to just having the opportunity to just be there, right? And
Yeah, I can so relate to that. About you're talking about starting multiple businesses, and it's just kind of like, oh, I'm doing this again, right? The novelty wears off after a while, but it's still fun. And I think it's really cool what you're talking about just now about creating the lifestyle that I think so many of us come into this with the idea of, oh, I'm going to make money, I'm going to make money, I'm going to make money. And yeah, you are, that is the intent, but it's more about creating the life that you want than necessarily getting to a number in your bank account. And that was a big shift for me. And what do you think kind of made that shift for you as you've been with the SFM? Was that going to gold? Because you went to the gold event recently, right?
Yeah, well, actually, there's a lot of things that happened after the gold event. I don't know if you guys recall, I stood up with Elan. He was on the stage, and we got to chat, and afterwards we got to even deepen our conversation about what happened there, and it was really it really transformed. And since then, I've started a process with them also. Like that's opened up my eyes on something that because you think like you really believe like, how can I articulate that? Like if you can teach a lot of technical stuff to an entrepreneur. Okay, no, everyone can learn it. You pretty much you look at the video on YouTube and you pretty much copy paste and do it, right? But the mindset and the belief system that get involved in that process, it's a whole different stories. And when you realize that the beliefs that you have are maybe not even yours. I don't know if you know what I mean. Like because like that was something that was really transforming in my life when I realized that throughout my life, my grandfather, my father, all my family, they see life as a struggle. You know what I mean? They were poor and they see it as a struggle, but life never been a struggle for me. It never been. Like seriously, every time I wanted money or a job or a new opportunity, like I never been to school to become a carpenter. It just happened.
Yeah.
That's it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be an entrepreneur, but over there in the Western Canada, they don't hire people. They just hire self-employed. So, whoa, well, I'm going to open a business. You know what I mean? It just went with flow. And that's a time where I realized that I was exactly where I needed to be. And even though you put so much stress about, oh, I need to have created that and built this and all those BS that we tell ourselves each and every day. To be honest, that's right. We're telling ourselves, oh, we need to be there in order for you to be successful, or you need to have made that much money to be successful. To me, I'm already successful. You know what I mean? I'm there each and every morning. I'm cooking food for my wife and family. And for me, seriously, right now, it's enjoyable because it's a nice flow in life. And it's funny as it is, it's not money my priority, and it just flows. Let's say that this way. So it's just awesome when it happened to you.
You know what, Michel, you've hit the nail on the head. I mean, that I think everybody, like you said before, comes into this, including myself and probably including Steve as well. We come into this to make money. It's like, right, we want to be successful and like earn X amount and, you know, live the life of freedom and all that stuff. But like you say, it's the little things. It's the being there for, you know, for your kid when they're getting up in the morning, or cooking breakfast for your wife and doing all that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that's going to make a difference, and that's the stuff that's going to bring you more long-term fulfillment than any amount of money ever will. So to hear you experiencing that, and also I do remember at Gold, I do remember you getting up and talking to Ilan. That was inspiring as hell, you know, listening to your breakthrough that you made in that moment. And yeah, to hear you articulate that is awesome. So one thing I'm curious about is, since Gold and since having that, you know, breakthrough with Ilan, how has your view and perception of things changed since then?
It's actually well, it just you have always that struggle, right? That monkey on the shoulder, or call it whatever you want, the unconscious part of your brain. And I was like, in the week coming back from Gold was just like, I was really into it. Like everything was working fine. But you know, one thing I was keep saying to myself, it was, that's unbelievable. It's impossible. And it crashed. To be honest, it really went down the drain. So on the first week, when I was awesome, like sky rising, right? And on the Wednesday that followed that week, because I was saying to myself, it's impossible. And just the belief that thinking it was impossible, well, it proved it to me that it was impossible. And so, because I have other businesses, right? So up and downs in entrepreneurship, but instead of crashing like it would have drained me from before that, it would have just thrown me on the ground. I'm like, man, how am I going to get that thing working again? And I would have been stressful. You know what I did? And don't forget, I need to tell a backstory. Like, I'm a carpenter, and like, there's a lot of things in the mind that people don't believe. Like, you're a carpenter. What a carpenter does? The carpenter mid-state do yoga. Well, not so many that I know. Anyway, And so instead of just letting that voice into my head and just let it just scream at me like, what the hell did you do? And how are you gonna to make it work now, right? I just say, well, let's just sit back, relax, and actually read a bit more. And within a few days, having the tools, they came back. So it's funny that mindset that we shift from that money hungry people that just want the really the outcome. But when you look within, that's where you find out that where is the power really. And since then, I had like between 3 to 4 people calling me each day for a free consultation that I offer on my website. And it's funny how people react just by giving them time. And it's only 30 minutes, like 30 minutes, it's not that much. So I spend 2 hours each day talking with people, and just I realized that a lot of people they're in the scarcity of life that just not gonna happen. That's what they're telling me. It's not gonna happen for me. I'm like, how can you ever achieve something that you're telling yourself it can't happen?
Yeah.
So it's funny. And now having tools, you say, well, see yourself, you want to be an entrepreneur, you are an entrepreneur. You want to be an online entrepreneur, but well, tell yourself each and every day you are an online entrepreneur. And that point on, when I decided to commit just to be honest, you want to be a marathon runner, well, tell yourself you're a marathon runner and start running. Someday you're going to be one.
That's it. And you know what? It's one of these things that when you say it like that, it's so simple. And it is simple. It's just like change your language. As soon as you start believing it, then you're going to start achieving it in your life. But we make it so difficult. We just have like you said, the monkey on the shoulder. You know, we talk ourselves out of things and we just listen to that voice. Steve, I'd be interested to get your thoughts on some of the points that Michel said there, particularly because obviously you guys have shared, multiple businesses and background as well. And I know that I think this has been a part of your journey as well, hasn't it? About overcoming the mindset side of this kind of thing.
Definitely, yeah. And I think it's actually might be harder for people who have been entrepreneurs or multiple entrepreneurs because we're used to being able to just go in and create what we want. And, it's like, I know how to do this. I can go from A to B to C to D if you tell me what those steps are. And, you come in with this preconceived notion. I think you said this too, that it's different when you get there. And, it's the mindset side, it's the attitude side. And that's what took me a while to shift. And I got to tell you, Michel, I noticed such a change in you when we've had conversations since Gold. I can see that relaxed. I can see the difference in your attitude and your energy, and I'm sure that's coming across in everybody that you're getting in touch with in your business. If we could go back kind of to the beginning, talk a little bit about your mindset when you first came across the SFM. I know you had the commute, which would drive anybody nuts, that kind of commute. But, you had businesses that were working.
Yeah.
Was there one thing that was your biggest driver, or one thing that kind of tipped you over the edge where I've got to make a change? Or was it just a combination?
Well, it was a combination. It was a combination. Actually, it was the fact that I had now to actually travel back and forth Montreal. So for people that know where Montreal is, it's like it's on an island, right? So you have bridge to cross each and every morning and at night, and it's crappy traffic, right? And it's not like just driving and just back and forth. Even though it sucks, if you're not stuck in the traffic, it's not that bad usually, right? And I was doing a job, and I told by my 25th birthday that I was going to give 100% to whatever I was going to do. It would be in construction or anything else, because I choose that job and that business, and I was going to say, well, I'm going to make it as best as I can, whatever happened. Even if I don't like it, it's still, I've agreed upon doing it. So I kept doing my best, and it worked. Like I can honestly say that I was one of the greatest worker that this business was hiring me for that they had. And they even since then they've been calling me and say, well, you were doing really an amazing job. So I'm like, Hey, now I have the paw in the back, but they didn't give it to me when I was there, so too bad. But anyway, I don't think it would have changed the outcome. But I was really in the mindset that construction was, it was kind of temporary, like from scratch, right? I was an helicopter pilot that was doing construction until helicopter pilot didn't fit the lifestyle I wanted, so I kept doing construction. But during the time I was working in construction, I was doing all kind of different jobs, trying out different outcome and different lifestyle that would better fit my and suit my needs, really. And I think that's what was the element, is the having to carpool. And now they were asking me to take more and more responsibility. Like they wanted me to be a product manager, and like I didn't want to have my business inside of a bigger business and being a project manager inside of a big carpet thing. So I would just be pretty much exchanging time for money and having no time anymore, because they want me to be there by 5 o'clock in the morning and leaving by 6. That's not a life. That's no near a life I wanted to do it. And I was seeing the project going kind of at the end of it. So, and I think that was like, yeah, I think that was my calling. And I was really doing a job that was an old building, a 1940 building, something like that. So it was all like, for people that know construction, like terracotta. So it's kind of it's really dusty, and like I was sick and tired of it, really. And yeah, I don't know. And I woke up one day and I said, why are you doing it? Why are you keep putting yourself there? I was waking up at 3:30 in the morning to really train for 30 minutes before I would leave my home, just to get the flow of energy so I wouldn't be drained by all that negative people that was surrounding me. We were getting up the elevator and just to get to the office, and people was like, shit, another day here. I'm like, seriously, man, if you don't want to be here, don't be. And I was telling them, knowing that I didn't want to be there, but I was not actually projecting my negative thought to everyone. So because it just keep piling up, right? And it just become that monster, like no one want to work. They're all not motivated. I'm like, hey guys, you here for 8 hours, so do the job and go back to home. If you're here to do something, so do it.
So you finally took your own advice.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And I was actually listening to a lot of motivation video going there. So I was like an hour and a half motivation video each morning and at night. So I was pretty cranked up when I got there. I'm like, okay, guys, so let's do it and let's rock it out. And after, and someday, I don't know exactly when it happened. I think it happened. It was just, we had summer vacation here, right? And I knew the project was going to end on the 23rd of May. It was supposed to end on the 23rd of May, and actually it finished on September the 20th. So it was late this year. It just finished up pretty much. And I was like, to me, I knew it was going to finish. And I told myself, okay, on the 22nd, on 23rd, that's it for me. After the project, I'm quitting construction. So, and this week it was really funny because after all that flow of money and income producing that worked out in the first week coming back from Phoenix, I was like, okay, that's really awesome. And I decided to do something really bold. Like, what would you do if you were 10-time bolder? Well, I went for 20-time bolder. And maybe a bit over my head there. But hey. And what happened is actually on the day I decided to go for that new thing, but it's not a new shiny object. It's just going to the next level. I was offered to maybe start doing some coaching and things like that. So I'm like, okay, never see it coming. I'm not really that much interested, but hey, if it's coming towards me, I'm going to explore it and discover what there is to explore there. And the day after I had that big crash in the monkey just start shattering at me. And on top of it, I received a letter saying that I couldn't, because in Quebec, you need a competency card. So I kind of lost my competency card. So I'm not competent anymore to work as a carpenter. So it's kind of funny. So I don't have the right to work on, so it's all came into place. So I think it's a sign, man.
Yeah.
Keep going. You're on the right path.
So you're an incompetent carpenter right now.
No, yeah. I don't have the paperwork.
So you couldn't do it even if you wanted to, right?
My finger now, like,
definitely a sign. That's definitely the time is now to move on. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I want to touch on something.
1 second, Dan. You got to use that in a video. Not just
Yes.
a carpenter who's done this, but you're an incompetent carpenter who's done this.
Please do. We want to see it.
That could be interesting, actually.
For sure. I mean,
Sorry,
something that's all right, Steve. Something I really want to touch on just before we sort of go too far away from it is the whole trading time for money thing, because I feel that is really one of the, I don't know what you call it, golden targets or achievements that most people need to make on this journey. And once you can nail that, everything in life really starts opening up, because the trading time for money thing, I feel, is what everyone who's an employee does. Most people who are business owners still do as well. They fall into that trap where they're trying to create this life of freedom, but the more that they the more income they want or the more freedom they want, the more they're working for it, and so the less free they are. It's always this paradox, right? So can you remember a point when for you the whole trading time for money thing really sort of clicked, like you really started to get it and break away from trading time for money? Was it a specific point for you?
Yes. You want a date?
That was maybe more just a story around it.
Well, I'm actually gonna tell you the date. It was it was in September, right? So September the 9th, 2017. We were in Phoenix, and I knew trading time for money, but has a wages. And one of my buddy, I was sharing my roommate, actually, that I was sharing my room with at the Phoenix event. Was like, yeah, man, I keep trading time for money. And he said, well, you need time to make money. And I said, whoa, that's not true at all, right? You're forgetting the point. And I went on my computer, and within 2 hours, I generated $2,500. And he's like, hey, you need to show me how. And at that point, I realized that it was not only for wages. You know what I mean? It was in a big way. You don't need time to make like $20 or $20,000. It's not harder. I know it seems really off, but it's not harder as a business owner to do that kind of a shift. It's just a bigger number. But if you just not blank the numbers, it's not harder to do it online or things like that. So that's the thing. I was like, man, that's true. And when I talked about it at Elon, it's like, yeah, you just realize the truth. Like you just get your own truth about it. Right? Like, oh, shit, I should have understood that a year ago.
You need to listen to yourself more.
Yeah.
You really do. You're a smart guy. Just listen to yourself.
So yeah, I was like, hey man, and so from that point on, I realized that it was not about just the wages. It was just an hour. Like, I think in my head, I knew 1 hour for $30, trading time for money. That what I had in my mind as a equation, I would say, or as a box kind of. But I realized that it could be extended to that big, right? So it was yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And like Steve says, definitely listen to your own advice all the time, because you've raised some really powerful points while we've been talking, for sure.
And also, like, talking about the flow, I came back from Phoenix and I was like, it doesn't feel natural for me, example, to do the email thing. It doesn't feel natural. Or for some reason, when I'm talking with email, it doesn't feel good. But you know what feels good? It's when I kind of I don't want to go in technical terms, but it's when people are not expecting to that new opportunity to show up on their Facebook, but when they've been retargeting, right? And so instead of going to emailing them, and like, I don't look at my email. I don't know for you guys, but I receive 167 email per day. It needs to really be really good if I want to look at it, right? So I was like, yeah, man, why not putting it there, right? And just leave it there. And it's funny, just by leaving there with my contact information to get a call with me, I got people calling me each and every day. I'm like, yeah. So it might be more my way. So I was like, yeah, I should have listened to me again.
I mean, the beauty of it is when you're looking at email marketing versus like retargeting now or remarketing, the amount that we can do with remarketing lists, it's almost like a separate list. If someone sees your ad on Facebook, and then you're creating more content to retarget those people again and again, you can basically create a story where they'll be seeing on their Facebook, you know, the journey that you want to create for them. You don't need to necessarily stick to one channel like email. So again, you know, great that you've had that realization. I mean, how do you see your future now, Michel, compared to how you saw it before? So given like some of these breakthroughs that you've had, the Gold Convention that you've attended, how does your future look now compared to how it looked when you were still in carpentry?
I would say unexpected. I really don't know. I was really anxiety. I was creating anxiety about my future, right? Always projecting ourselves in the future is not helping, or it's not actually helping me grow now. And I think, I don't know, I'm really in a space right now where I'm just growing and just reading things and just being on the process of really finding what I really want. And through that, since Phoenix, being in touch with Elon, I realized that I was not looking for money. I never looked for money because I made money before, and it's okay. It's fun and enjoyable. I'm not saying it's not great, but it was not fulfilling me. Nowhere. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for fulfillment. And I asked, like, but it's such a broad words. Then I was like, man, like, what does it mean? And I asked him, like, how can I find out what it means for me, fulfillment? And he said, well, meditate on it. I'm like, okay, meditate on it. And I have only one thing that was coming out when I was meditating on it, and for the past 2 weeks, and it was complete. I'm like, complete seems really broad as well, right? And at some point, I realized, talking with my wife, that it was stopping looking for something else outside of me. You know what I mean? And just being kind of happy with what I got and where I am right now in life. So, and since then, it's a lot better. It's actually that. So I believe my future would be, I don't know, maybe coaching, maybe helping others. It's really right now up in the air. I'm creating a new website that I want to really help people to just to get into the entrepreneur mindset. As I believe that's the key. Like I said, like, you can teach an entrepreneur tech stuff, but if they don't have the mindset to really go through, they're gonna bail out, right? So if we can help people to really create that strong mindset, that's not gonna be easy to break into it, and so they get, okay, yeah, hit happen. We all fall. If you don't fall, you're not an entrepreneur, and we all fail multiple times wherever we did in life, and it's life. That's where we learn. And I think people have to, instead of, okay, I've tried once, it didn't work. Well, try again until it works.
Maybe you should write a book as well, Michel.
I've tried that, but maybe in French.
It could be great. Have you read The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
I've read it and
Yes.
read it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting the feeling that you have. Awesome book. Steve, any final points to add from you, my friend?
Well, I was going to ask about the technical side. We've been talking a ton about the mindset, and that's definitely important. But coming from contracting world, carpenter world, and then, you know, building websites and that sort of thing, how was that transition for you? Was it as hard as you expected, or was it easier than you expected? Talk to us about that, if you will.
That was the easy part, to be honest. It didn't feel, it felt like, at first it felt like, I'm now overwhelming, like you pasting code. That doesn't mean anything for you at first, right? You just copy, paste. Hey, it works. Really happy about it. And after a while, I would say that the first 2 months, it's really overwhelming about all those techie stuff, I would say. But after a while, you just, it's actually not that complicated. And when you don't understand what you're doing, you go on YouTube and you pretty much search it. So how can I, example, add a button there? And you look at it, and they're teaching you step by step. So I don't think the technical stuff is really something that stops people off. It's maybe something that's scary at first because there's so many stuff to learn. But I don't think it's that was the hardest part for me. That was the easiest part. And even now, I'm helping people do tech stuff then. So it's, yeah.
Well, it's the perception of what it's going to be that that people struggle with. I think they think it's going to be difficult, so they're afraid of it. But when they actually get into it, like you said, it's not that hard. You can teach anybody anything.
And you don't need to know.
No, go ahead.
And you don't need to know everything. You know what I mean? You learn bit by bit. At first, you just, okay, I buy a domain. After that, you create a page. And after that, you put stuff on the page. So,
Right.
you know what I mean? So it feels at first, oh, I need to create 17 pages, things like that. But it's not the case. You're starting really by little. So it's a step-by-step process. It's like building a home. It's exactly it. You're digging a hole, first of all. And after you're buying a domain, and after that you're putting a foundation on it, and after that you're building the houses, and after that you can always make it nicer, right? So you kept going around the house, putting nice trees and I don't know how you call the trees things, or the setup things like that.
Landscaping.
Landscaping, right? So you can always keep going and adding stuff, but it's to build a house, you have to start somewhere. So you're starting by digging a hole. So.
Yeah.
You know what? That's such an interesting distinction, because so many people that get started in this field that we talk to, like the technical skills holds back so many people. But like you say, Michel, anyone can learn anything. Like, you know, we all know how to drive near enough. We've all learned how to drive. We've all come from a place of not knowing a thing about driving to getting in a car and practicing, and then you pass your test, then you can drive, right? Anyone can learn anything. And yet, so like people don't come into this thinking, oh, I don't know if I have the mindset to overcome my limiting beliefs, and so I fear starting. Nobody says that. Everyone says, oh, I don't know if I have the technical skills to start. But that's the easy bit, and the bit that just stops everyone is the mindset stuff. And so few people have that awareness around it. And so just to hear you elaborate on that and talk about that, and also, you know, really just make the point that the technical skills, that's not what's going to hold anyone back. Without a doubt, everyone can learn that. It's working on that. And that's what you've shown so fantastically so far today. So really appreciate your thoughts, my friend. I think for a lot of people watching, I hope this is going to be very powerful, very helpful. Steve, any final thoughts to add, or do you feel that that's a good place to
No, I think that's a great place to wrap it up. I really appreciate you spending time with us, and I think it's going to be very helpful for a lot of people. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
You're welcome, guys.
Thank you, Michel. Really appreciate your time. And until next week, goodbye from myself and Steve.
See you next week.